So today we're going to set up Claude Code. And then after that, I'm going to show you an easy system to build all your workflows. Then we're going to use that system to create an email newsletter automation that will help you automate all of your newsletters moving forward. Let's create some AI magic. So the first thing you're going to do to get started with agentic workflows is set up your Visual Studio Code. So if you haven't set it up yet, you'll go to code.visualstudio.com and you'll download it. So once you have Visual Studio Code installed on your desktop, the first thing you'll want to do is get the extension for Claude Code. So on the left-hand sidebar, if you click on the little extensions icon, you'll be able to search and we'll want to look for Claude Code. And you'll want to make sure you install the official Anthropic one. And what you'll do is you'll click Install to install Claude Code for VS Code, and it will take you to your login screen. Once you have everything authenticated and you've logged in, and be sure that you are on one of the paid Claude plans, as you can't use Claude Code with a free plan, then you'll see the Claude logo on both the top header and the left side toolbar. So the next thing we're going to do is, since we need to have a project folder for all of the different projects that we're working on within Claude Code, what we will want to do is open a folder, and we'll want to open a brand new folder that we can add files to. So go ahead and click Open Folder. As you can see, I have a new folder, Newsletter Test Demo here, empty, no files in it. So I'm going to go ahead and open that folder. So now that we have everything installed, you can go ahead and exit out of this. Then you'll want to go over here and click and open Claude Code. So now what we'll do is we'll close out of this, and then we'll be able to chat with Claude Code directly. What we need to do now is we need to give Claude an MD file, which is basically a list of instructions, or think of it as a system prompt for this project. So now every time you send a message to your Claude Code agent, it is not only going to respond based on the conversation that you're having with it, but it's also going to reference that CLAUDE.md document as well. And this MD folder will have answers to questions, where to find certain files, documents, and so on. In the comments, there'll be a Claude.md file, and that file will include the TIE workflow format that I use to build all of my workflows. So now that you've downloaded the Claude.md file that I've provided, you'll want to go ahead and drag that over under the newsletter test demo. And then you'll want to go ahead and in the Claude Code chat, you'll want to give it the following instructions. Read the Claude.md file and then set up the project and the structure. And then we'll start building workflows together. And you'll want to make sure that down here where it says manual, you'll want to go ahead and change that to plan mode so it can start planning on how to build this workflow. Then you'll go ahead and hit enter, and it will start working and taking a look at how to set up the project. So now, as you can see, everything is in place. It's even set up an env file that we can add all of our API keys in here, and we're going to go ahead and clear this conversation and make sure that you are in planning mode. So click where it says manual or whatever fields you have there and select plan mode. You will notice that it turns blue, and that will signify that you are in plan mode. So the prompt we want to give it is, hey, Claude, I want to build a workflow that will be a newsletter automation. I want to be able to tell you that I will need a newsletter about a certain topic, and you will do the research, you will structure it in HTML, and you will make it look pretty, and you will also create a few infographics to go with it. So help me figure out what tech stack to use here and what else you might suggest that I have not thought of yet. And Claude will then start thinking, and it will possibly ask you questions throughout the process to help you build the workflow that will help you with this newsletter automation. As you can see, it's asking us different questions on how we want it to be delivered. So do we want it as an HTML, via email, a published web page? So you would go through here and answer the questions based on what you want, and then you would submit the answers. And then it will start going through the process of reading your answers. And if it has any more questions, it will prompt you with those questions along the way. So for the resource source, I typically like Perplexity. So in here, I will put Perplexity API. And then for the output location, I will say send to Gmail. And then for the branding, I'll say I have brand assets, and we will submit those answers. So now you'll see it has given us the entire plan for us to review on how it would architect this workflow, the recommended tech stack that we'd use, the different engines that it's going to build to execute with, as well as the things that we haven't accounted for. One that stands out is the brand file with our colors, fonts, logos, all that good stuff. So to create that, we will add a new folder over here, and we will call that folder brand assets. And then we will upload new documents with our guidelines for our brand and our logo into this folder. And there you'll see our brand guidelines and our logo. So now that I've added those brand assets in there, I'm going to say no, keep planning. And then I am going to ask Claude to do the following. Make sure the whole newsletter is based on my brand. And the cool thing here is you can go at, and you can actually pull in the logo that you've saved in the project files. So there's the logo, and then we're going to go down here, and we're going to add in the brand guidelines. So now every time a newsletter is created, it should have your branding and follow your brand guidelines. So now it's going to go and it's going to redo the plan for the workflow. Now that it's updated the plan to include our full branding, we'll go ahead and say yes and auto accept. And from here, it will start building out the workflow. So then, as you can see, it comes up with a full to-do list of everything that it's going to do to build this out. And then as it completes each one of these steps, it will actually check it off the list. So you can go ahead and do other work while it goes through the process of building everything out. As you can see, it's finished 2 of the to-do tasks, and now it is working on the 3rd. Now you can see here what it built. It went ahead and built our different engines. So the engines that are going to do our research, that are going to create images, render the newsletter, export it to HTML, and send the email. We also have our tasks, which is basically our instructions and what it's going to do for us step by step, or you could say the SOP for this process to create our newsletter. So it's pretty cool what you can do here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our API keys in here for the newsletter workflow. So we're going to add in our Perplexity and our OpenAI API keys. Pretty much you'll just take your API key and copy it in here. Now that we have everything set up for our newsletter workflow automation, let's go ahead and test it out. So let's give it a newsletter that we would like it to build and write. Write me a newsletter about agentic AI. And now it's going to start thinking and following the workflow, starting with research. And then it might ask you a question about what you feel the newsletter should be about, a concept, a company. Let's go with the concept. So now, as you can see, it's come up with a plan for this newsletter. So you can go ahead and read that plan over. And if you like that plan, go ahead and approve it. If not, you can go ahead and tweak the angle, the sections, the image, anything you like, you would just put that into the chat. So I'll say, let's go ahead and take it as is. And as you'll see, it's approved. So then it starts building it. And now, as you can see, the newsletter is live. Here is our article in our draft inbox. We can open it up and make it a little bigger. It has our logo, which we probably could center, could be a little bit better. But there's the title of the article. There's our header image, which is that bad, actually. It's got the company colors. It has the article as you scroll down, has some graphs and charts in there, wins and numbers the industry's seeing right now, part about where the agents break off. So there's a lot of cool things in this article, and it also gives you all the sources where it found all of this information. Probably could do some work adding in more contact information, social media icons, but hey, for a first draft, this isn't bad. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's no M dashes, there's no robotic AI slop. It's pretty much written in our brand voice and pretty much 99% ready to send. And just like that, you have a newsletter automation that you can use week by week for yourself, or you can even edit it to use for your clients. Want to learn AI in the nick of time? Don't forget to follow me. Catch you next time.